Brought to you by Penguin.
The Society of Unknowable Objects by Gareth Brown. Read by Olivia Vinall. Prologue. The Atlas of Lost Things, 2015. Magda Sparks was alone and exhausted in the wilderness of Nevada, and she had never been happier. She perched on a rock at the edge of the hiking trail, dropped her shoulder bag to her feet, and pulled out a bottle of water. The evening sun was a rich orange smear just above the horizon, and the sky over the Great Basin Desert was slowly turning the colour of candy floss and peaches. Thunderclouds towered up from the flat brown ground in the distance, like smoke from campfires, and Imelda thought the view was one of the most beautiful she had ever seen. She glanced down past her feet to where the hillside dropped away steeply. The bottom of the gully was a pool of shadows that was slowly rising up towards her. Soon it would be too dark to have any chance of finding what she had come looking for, maybe even so dark that the hour-long hike back to the car would become treacherous. "Stupid," she muttered. She slid her water bottle back into her bag, and her hand brushed the flower that Magda had cross-stitched into the canvas flap all those years ago. Imelda wondered how Magda had spent her day back in London. Probably work, and then an evening writing. Magda wanted to be a novelist, and that seemed to demand all of her time and attention. Imelda worried sometimes that Magda wasn't leaving room in her life for friends or for love, but her daughter had always known her own mind, even as a toddler. Imelda smiled as she remembered Magda at a much younger age, stomping around the house and pretending to be a dinosaur long after she'd been told to go to bed. That happy memory faded as Imelda turned her eyes to the distance and saw the sun flattening at the bottom as it touched the horizon. "Come on, get on with it," she muttered to herself. She removed a square of paper from her back pocket and unfolded it to study in the golden pink light. It was a hand-drawn map with sketched lines in black ink that detailed Imelda's surroundings, and a scribbled star in the centre of the page indicating the location of the lost thing, like an X marking the spot in some movie prop treasure map. The sketch had changed since Imelda had last looked at it 15 minutes earlier. The image on the paper shifted constantly, in fact, because this was not an ordinary map. This was the Atlas of Lost Things, a guide to lost magical artefacts. The Atlas had already taken Imelda on a journey across Europe. She had found the worn gold coin in a small museum in Bavaria, the crucifix in a cluttered antique shop in the Trastevere neighbourhood of Rome, and the blue carnation, which Imelda had retrieved only a couple of days earlier, in the lapel of a wizened bulb grower working in the tulip fields east of Amsterdam. After Imelda had obtained the flower, which had taken some gentle persuasion, and a generous financial donation to the old man, the Atlas had shown her that another lost thing could be found in the Nevada desert in the United States. She had jumped on a flight at Schiphol, hired a car at the airport in Las Vegas when she had arrived earlier that day, and then she had driven for 4 hours out into the wilderness, north along Highway 93, before turning west onto the mountain trail. As Imelda peered at the Atlas, now in the low light at the end of the day, her vision blurred with fatigue. Her neck was stiff from the hours behind the wheel, and the throbbing in her knees and lower back were grumpy companions spoiling the hike with incessant complaints. She shook her head to clear her vision and focused on the Atlas. The lost thing was near, perhaps only a few feet away from where she was perched. If she could find it quickly, she could be on her way back to the car before all the light drained from the day. She closed her eyes, anticipating a couple of nights of luxury in an expensive hotel back in Vegas, a big bath of bubbles and a tray of room service food. "That would be lovely," she murmured. She was tired, she knew, not just from an hour of walking on 60-year-old legs, but from 3 months of travelling and adventure. Imelda had always had an easy life, the child of wealthy, if...
Sample complete. Ready to continue?